Welcome everyone to Hispanicize Unidos Together Virtual Summit. My name is Ann Vasquez, Senior Editor at The Wrap, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with actor, author, social impact entrepreneur, Jessica Alba. She's also a boss lady who has grown a multi-million-dollar business that is built around education and community with a line of products that range from baby to home to beauty care. Welcome, Jessica.
Hi, how are you, Anne? Thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. This is going to be a wonderful time. So I wanted to kick it off. 2020 has been quite an intense year. How has it been for you and your family? And what have you learned about yourself and the world?
Wow, I have learned just how resilient people are. I have seen, how communities have really come together and galvanized around really supporting each other, supporting causes, supporting businesses that are aligned with their values. I think, we have spent so much time probably running our day-to-day lives that during this pandemic, a lot of us have been forced to slow down, stop, and reflect. And I have seen how that's been pretty transformative for so many folks.
Absolutely. That's slowing down. And especially as a mom, as a parent, having this time to really kind of connect with your family and reflect. It's really important. So, among the many things that have happened this year, this fight for social justice, really people looking inward about racial inequities. I wanted to talk a little bit about identity and how that evolves over generations, and how has it evolved for you and your family? What has changed? What hasn't, in your lifetime?
Well, I grew up in a multi-generational household with my grandparents and my parents, on and off. We've lived with them. And, my grandparents grew up in a segregated and pretty racially divisive California, where they were not treated with fairness at all when it came to education opportunities, job opportunities, and even just opportunities to feel, like they have value. And so growing up really with the anchor of our family telling these stories about racial inequity and about how the oppression that they faced and what they had to overcome to be successful, and then how they pivoted to create opportunity for their children, my father and his siblings, and how they sort of broke the chain of a lot of opportunity or lack of opportunity that was given to them, and they created more opportunity for my father and his siblings, and then how that translates to me and how I get to operate and move through the world. But I never forget, and it's been ingrained in my childhood since day one, that there is this history that's ugly and unfair, and there's still so much injustice that goes on, and there's still so much inequity that goes on. I mean, if you just think of the difference between what a Latina will get paid for the same job with the same title as a white man, she'll get paid on average 45% less. If a white woman has the same job, she'll get paid 30% less. And so there's so much room to grow, to really create true equity and opportunity, certainly for our community. But I'm hoping in my lifetime, and I've been encouraged by my parents and my grandparents to really fight the injustice through creating the change that I want to see. Becoming an entrepreneur, creating a platform where I get to tackle a social justice issue but do it with a for-profit business. And I get to open that door and bring others along with me.
And there's something about hearing those stories, right, as you're growing up and just learning through osmosis, even your family's experience and kind of the struggles that they've had to endure, and how that's transformative really in what you are capable of doing and kind of the opportunities that you are afforded that they were not. Along the lines of keeping with cultural identity, I know that this is a sensitive topic. It certainly is in my household. I've got 2 kids. You've said in the past that you'd like to have your kids grow up in a multilingual household, as I think many of us do. It's a lot easier said than done. I wanted to ask, how's it going?
You know, my children, so just to give anyone out there who isn't aware of this, but my grandparents were born in the United States and they spoke Spanish fluently with their parents. But they, as you know, for them, opportunity meant assimilation in the 60s, in the 50s and 60s. That's what it meant. And so they didn't speak Spanish with their children or have their children really speak Spanish growing up. So my father and his siblings don't speak Spanish. And so I did not grow up in a Spanish-speaking, exclusive Spanish-speaking household. My grandparents did speak Spanish with me, but it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't like with my father and my mother, right, and that. And so I think you have to have a certain discipline and really make sure that that is something that is important for you in your household. And your children, from I've seen, really need to be immersed in the language every single day, day in and day out.
Absolutely.
And so my children, you know, I've given them as many tutors as possible. I've surrounded them with as many folks as possible so that they can learn, and they certainly have a better grasp of the language than I do. And I'm so proud because I'm always trying to raise children that are better than me at everything. And so I certainly wanted to give them a leg up in that area. But my husband speaks fluent French, and he hasn't, I don't think he said one word of French to the kids.
It's hard.
I don't even know
really
if they
hard.
know. And so it's just, you know, you have to really, like I said, have that discipline and really stick to it. And immerse your family in that language in order to really speak it, you know, fluently and well. So I'm hoping that my kids, I have hope for my children. They will be better than me, man.
Me too. I grew up in a bilingual household. My husband, Mexican-American, did not, intentional on their part. And it's hard. It's hard, you know, I mean, my kids know Spanglish. You know, they know Spanglish pretty well, but you know, we've got to work on the Spanish. Let's talk a little bit about career and life choices. And, you know, so often you have, you know, life and career is about making choices. It's nice to be at a point in your career where you don't have to choose. You can be creative, the creative and the actor in front of the camera, but you also can be, you know, a businesswoman, a savvy businesswoman. And I'd love to talk about what's your secret in combining the two. How have you been able to make that work?
Well, I guess the way that my brain sort of works and processes information, and the way I've always kind of moved through the world from day one is I've always been pretty strategic. I have more of a sensibility, maybe more of like a math and science brain. And then I definitely have that creative side, but I like to ground a lot of my creative choices in facts and data. I guess that sort of like gives me, for me, it gives me that strong foundation to build from. And even when I was building my career as an actress at age 11, I was quite strategic about how I went about it. And really thinking through how could I, you know, really look at the types of careers that I thought were global, that are doing the sort of tentpole franchises. And that's why I did really made so many of the choices that I made, like, you know, playing Dark Angel, and really going for that, all the way through to the Fantastic Four. And certainly when I did Honey, you know, just thinking through like how I always loved comedy. I've always loved sci-fi. I've always loved action. And in a lot of these spaces, men dominated, right? White men dominated, actually. And so how can I sort of like get my foot in that door? Because I really felt like there was an opportunity for someone like me to be a fresh perspective in that area, in that space, where you don't see a lot of women, but certainly women of color.
So speaking of Hollywood and the state of Hollywood, how do you feel and how do you see the current state being for opportunities for Latina women and in leading roles, in redefining what it means to be mainstream on camera?
Yeah, I think, you know, we are mainstream.
Absolutely.
Hey, we're mainstream, guys. Hello. And I think, you know, as long as there's sort of that archetype of that white middle-aged man who's in charge, his bias and his narrative around Latinos will be through his lens and his reality, right? But the more leadership that we can get in every area, not just as actors, right, but also as producers, as writers, as directors, as heads of studios,
the gatekeepers, right,
as investors, right? So you can't fix a systemic issue by just tackling one area. You really have to look at the entire picture and think through, like you just said, those gatekeepers at all of those touch points that can then open the doors for progress. And I think it's about time that we see ourselves, because we are mainstream and we are, you know, very powerful when it comes to our ability to not just move the needle when it comes to box office, or entertainment, or for a brand, but also for this election. You know, right. Our vote matters, our voice matters, and we just need to come together and really fight for equity, fight for our voice, and fight to be seen.
So in your perspective, has it not improved? Has it improved modestly? Has it ebbed and flowed? Or is it just as bad as it was, you know, 20 years ago?
I think it's just as bad.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, look around. Look at, and if anything, you're looking at more and more, or less opportunity for anyone to make a film, and certainly a film at scale, because there's just less being made. And then they have to really build these franchises a lot of times, right? Because those are the ones that end up paying off. And if you look at who they're slotting into those stories, you know what I mean? It's
absolutely.
Doesn't look great for us Latinos out there.
It doesn't.
And it's a damn shame, because we've always been at the forefront of movements and narratives. We are part of the OG Hollywood and entertainment. And, you know,
we actually over-index in, you know, when it comes to purchasing in power and entertainment and at the box office. Absolutely.
But also our storytelling and our history and our cultures and communities and all of that, and our history with the arts and who we are and where we come from. I mean, we have so much talent as well, and we have so much power at the box office. And I think it's just sort of like hit this time where we can really come together as a culture and community and really harness our power and our voice to literally like start to create the change we want to see for ourselves and for others, because it's just, it just isn't necessary. It isn't necessary for us to stay out of the conversation or stay oppressed in any way.
And just be thankful for the bits and scraps and pieces that are given to us, right? We were talking about that the other day. It's like, sometimes we're too grateful for the little things.
Yeah, I think when you grow up in a society that tells you that you shouldn't even have a seat at the table and you're lucky to be there, then you are sort of grateful for that little tiny win and you want to hang on to it for dear life and you feel so lucky to be there. But instead, I've reached this new place in my life because I was very much that person where I was like happy to have, that job, happy to have that opportunity. And I was like, whew, okay, well, this month I'm okay, I'm going to save all my money and hope, pray that something else will come along.
Right.
And now I really feel like it is important for me to not just get through those doors and break down those barriers, but also to keep that door open, push it wide open for others to come flooding through. And there's so much to be said for representation. It matters so much.
It matters so much. And you've made it a point, it seems, to make a conscious decision not to be typecast, racially typecast. Would you say that's a fair assessment?
Absolutely. Yep. I never wanted to have the Hollywood narrative or whatever kind of propaganda is out there to try and keep us oppressed and to say that, we are this stereotype. And it angered me so much that that was the only way that people in entertainment saw us. And I just fought like hell. And I never played into it. Never did, not once. No, thank you.
No, thank you.
And, I think that by me standing my ground, I've had many, many, many people come up to me and who are Latino who say, it was so cool to see you in this. It was so cool to see that you built a company. It was so cool to see you on that screen. And I felt like I was up there, or this was my sister or my cousin. And to me, that's so meaningful because, again, when you don't see yourself, it's hard to see if you even deserve to be there or if there's even an option for you to have opportunity or to dream or to hope.
That's exactly right. I wanted to talk now and shift a little bit to the Honest Company. It's a purpose-driven company. You founded it 2012 in an effort to really help people live happier, healthier lives. There's so many things that we can talk about. I wanted to start with the fact that you didn't know you wanted to start this company and you didn't necessarily have the background, but you learned on the job. And it's such a powerful lesson, I think, for men and women, but certainly women who want to take that leap. But too often, I think sometimes there's this so-called imposter syndrome. And how did you prepare yourself? How did you, learn more each day and just become as successful as you have been?
Well, that's there's so many layers to that question. I would start with, yes, I had another career in entertainment and that was my focus. But when I became a mom at age 27, I was pregnant at 26 and had my first daughter at 27, I had this moment of awakening. I had been working in entertainment since I was 12 and working pretty much nonstop, where I sacrificed everything really for my career. I gave it my all. I didn't necessarily cultivate a bunch of relationships. I really was focused on my career and I had that single kind of narrow, like I said, strategic focus. I didn't even live in one place for more than a year, I don't think, and from age 12 until I was 26, and I was forced to after I had my baby. And then when I looked around at this person, I looked at this little person, and I just reflected for myself on purpose and what drives, motivates me and drives my decision making. A lot of it was around social justice, always has been since I was really young. And when I was thinking through this world that I was, going to create for my little baby, I wanted to make sure that she was going to thrive, and that she was never going to, in any way, I didn't want to contribute to harming her in any way or not making great choices for her. I really wanted her to be healthy. I mean, that's like number one, right? Because it's really difficult to be happy if you don't have your health. And when I was growing up, I grew up with lots and lots of health issues. And I was in the hospital a lot. And I had many different issues. And now I know that a lot of it was caused by what I was exposed to in my environment. And there are so many harmful chemicals, so many things that you are exposed to on a daily basis, from what's in the air quality, what's in your home, your detergents, what's in, on, and around you, the food quality, to what you're putting on your body, what you're putting on your skin. All of those things, you're getting multiple exposures, and it can affect your health over time. And when I was looking at trying to safeguard my baby and give her the best shot, I was like, there really isn't one brand out there that I could trust. Like, one brand would do one thing great and four other things that were mediocre. And also, it was like astronomical when it came to the difference in price. I was like, wait, I have to spend 10 times more to get something that doesn't work that well. Right. And for what? Like, why is it so expensive to make healthier choices? And why is it so hard to really get all of my needs taken care of at one brand? And so that's really where this idea came from, to build The Honest Company. I've also lobbied for chemical reform, because I thought initially that's how you solve it, right? Change the legislation, make companies test chemicals for safety before they're brought into the marketplace, so that you don't test them on human beings. And that didn't go over so well. They made it are you a conservative? Are you a liberal? Like, what side of the fence are you on? I'm like, this isn't a political issue. This is a human health issue, guys. But unfortunately, the way that the government works is it really became this them versus them. And I was like, that's not going to create any kind of solution. So then I was like, I got to create this for-profit business that really stands for social justice when it comes to giving people transparency in what's inside a product, using ingredients that are safe, and thinking through the human health aspect first, and then thinking through how it's going to affect the planet as well. And then how can I build a business that really stands for diversity and inclusion? Because when you think of corporate America, you think of that same middle-aged white guy in charge and making decisions, yet we as the consumers are so much more than that. And so being able to really change the face of what a modern business is today, and having a direct relationship with the consumer, educating them, building community, and also being available for them to access the products no matter where they want to shop. So being available at Target or Amazon or Nordstrom or Costco, wherever you want to shop, we can be there for you. Or if you want to go directly to us. So that was really, and then thinking through also when it comes to accessibility, who are being exposed to these chemicals and whose health is being compromised the most? It is the Black and brown communities. And so by not making these products accessible, by making the information too difficult to grasp and hiding all of these facts up in science and academia, you're not making it easy for people to understand how to make better choices. And you're not giving them a price point that's within reach. And you're not making it available. So I was like, I want to solve all of these issues.
Well, it's amazing
and so
what you've
that's The Honest
accomplished.
Company.
It's amazing what you've accomplished, and you know,
Thank
excited to
you.
see what comes next, for the
Thank
Honest
you.
Company and for you. As we could go on for a long time, and I would love to continue to pick your brain, but I'd like to wrap it up, and ask you if there's a message maybe that you want to leave, you know, those who are watching with. You know, we're concluding Hispanic Heritage Month. It's a very important year and a very important time. What would you like to say?
I would say to everyone out there, however you identify as Latino, Latina, Latinx, I want you to know that you matter. Your voice matters. And the most important thing you can do is you can vote. Use your power. Use your voice. You are the change that you want to see. And by us coming together and supporting each other and putting our arms around each other and lifting each other up, we will make a difference for our communities. We will. We just have to do this together and educate yourself. You get to choose where you want to spend your money. Your dollar is powerful, and you can support others that look like you and that are aligned with your values. So make
Well,
sure
thank
that
you,
you
Jessica.
know how much you matter and how much you're
Absolutely.
loved.
Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the frank conversation. Like I said, we could go on forever. Take care,
All
Jessica.
right. Thank you for having me.